My child, you astonished me. Yes, you. At last, you did it. You chose obedience when walking away felt easier. You held your peace when everything in you wanted to respond. You chose prayer when your strength was almost gone, and heaven moved because of that choice. Do not let what is in front of you make you question what I told you. Your breakthrough has already begun, and the enemy will try to snatch it. You may have come across this message at the right moment for your heart. Stand firm right now. Do not pull back. Stay with this moment and listen closely. You still do not understand what shifted in the spirit when you made that decision. The day you forgave without receiving an apology. The moment you released what had been draining your soul. The night you prayed instead of sinking into despair. The instant you said, "Lord, I trust you," even though nothing around you made sense. That was the moment something began to shift deeply within you. That was the moment I leaned in and said, "Finally." You thought that quiet surrender was too small to matter. You thought no one noticed your hidden obedience. But I saw it. And before we go further, take a quiet moment to reflect on this. If this message is speaking to your heart, you can leave a simple amen or share what you are carrying today. You can leave a simple amen or share what you're going through. Sometimes putting it into words is the first step toward clarity. I saw your shaking hands. I saw the weight in your heart. I saw you holding back tears while still choosing faith. And I tell you now, you shocked me because you did not collapse where you once would have fallen apart. You did not answer the way your old self would have answered. You grew, and growth sets things in motion. When you changed, things around you changed. You may not see it yet, but something around you has already begun to change. Things that had been weighing you down began to loosen their hold. Delayed plans started moving again. Conversations about you in rooms you have never entered started turning in your favor. Why? Because obedience opens the way for me to move in ways you cannot yet imagine. Your breakthrough did not start when results appeared. It started the moment you obeyed. What is happening now may not look like anything extraordinary, but do not be deceived. Breakthrough does not always arrive with noise or spectacle. More often, it begins in stillness, in alignment you cannot yet see. While nothing around you seems to change, unseen details are already being arranged, quietly forming outcomes that will soon become undeniable. So do not measure your progress by what is visible. Measure it by what is shifting beneath the surface. Listen closely. This is where many lose ground. Do not allow what you see to shake what was spoken. The moment your breakthrough was set in motion, opposition also took notice. Distractions may appear. Words meant to weaken you may surface. Situations may even seem to tighten instead of release. But this is not a reversal. This is resistance reacting to movement. Just as the Red Sea stood before Israel before it parted, the obstacle did not cancel the promise. It revealed the moment for it to be fulfilled. You may face unexpected tension. You may feel pressure in places that once felt settled. But this is not failure, it is pushback. When light intensifies, darkness cannot stay still. It reacts. Yet, reaction is not authority, it is exposure. What is being revealed now is what can no longer remain hidden, and that is how you know something real is happening. So, stand steady, and if this is encouraging you, stay with it until the end. If you feel led, share it with someone who may need this reminder today. And if you feel led, share this with someone who might need this reminder today. You never know who is standing at their turning point. The unseen is already moving, and what has begun will not remain invisible for long. Now you have stepped into a critical moment, the narrow space between what was promised and what will soon appear. This is where many falter, not because the promise failed, but because fear grows louder than faith. They begin to speak doubt, to imagine the worst, to retreat just before the door opens. Do not follow that path. Guard what you say, guard what you think, guard the peace that has been planted within you. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. What you release now matters more than you realize. You have come too far to turn back at the threshold. Every silent battle you fought, every restless night, every moment you felt unseen, it was all witnessed. The times your thoughts overwhelmed you, but you kept going. The moments you carried strength in public while breaking in private. The days you almost gave up, yet still chose to hold on just a little longer. Like Job, who endured without understanding, yet refused to let go of his integrity. Your persistence has carried you to this exact point. That one more step you chose when quitting felt easier has brought you here. And now, something is shifting. But understand, this opposition will try to convince you that nothing has changed. Old fears may resurface. Familiar doubts may whisper again. Do not entertain them. Those voices are not truth, they are resistance, reacting to what has already been set in motion. Just as Goliath shouted louder before he fell, noise often increases right before defeat. What is beginning may first rise within you before it appears around you. You may notice a quiet confidence forming, a steadiness you cannot fully explain, a calm that does not match your circumstances. That is not coincidence, that is confirmation. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. You are being strengthened from within, because what is ahead requires stability, not impulse. This is why your choice mattered so deeply. You did not react, you responded. You did not rush, you trusted. You chose faith when emotion pushed you otherwise. That is maturity. And maturity unlocks what force never could. What is coming next will demand the version of you that you are becoming right now. So stay steady, because this moment is not fragile due to weakness, but powerful because of transition. You chose to trust when there was almost nothing to hold on to, and that decision has positioned you for what comes next. Promotion is not granted to those who chase it. It is entrusted to those who are prepared to carry it. That is why things are already shifting in ways you did not expect. What once felt dry is being restored. Connections are being realigned with purpose, not convenience. Provision is being rearranged beyond your current understanding. Humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. But hear this clearly, stay grounded. Not every step of your growth is meant to be announced. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowd before stepping into greater works. There are seasons where silence protects what is forming. Speak less, discern more, and stay aware. If anything attempts to disturb your peace, do not entertain it. Peace is not weakness, it is direction. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts. What rules you guides you. Do not carry this season alone. This is not the time to rely on your own strength or withdraw into isolation. Strength is not found in distance, but in deeper connection. What is happening now is not fragile because it can fail. It is sensitive because you are being refined. Transition demands focus. It requires discipline over emotion, clarity over impulse. Do not allow temporary feelings to interrupt what has already been established, and do not mistake delay for denial. Lazarus was delayed, but not forgotten. Even when everything around you feels quiet, movement is still unfolding. Just as a seed grows beneath the soil before it breaks through, something is already advancing on your behalf. You are not far, you are closer than you have ever been. The door you have been knocking on is not closed. It is being prepared to open at the right moment. But before it opened, trust had to be proven, and you did. That is why this moment carries weight. You did not surprise me because I doubted you. You surprised me because you finally stepped into the truth about who you are. And that realization is what makes the next level possible. You are no longer who you used to be. Fear does not hold the same power over you, and doubt no longer defines your decisions. There is a strength in you now that wasn't there before, a clarity that has been forged through everything you endured. And because you have grown, you are now ready to carry what once would have overwhelmed you. This is how elevation works. It follows transformation. To whom much is given, much will be required. So stand firm. This is not the moment to loosen your faith. It is the moment to anchor it deeper than ever. Understand this. There may be one final attempt to distract you, a whisper telling you nothing has changed, a suggestion that it was all in your imagination. But do not give that voice your attention. Look at your journey. Look at the battles you survived. Look at the fact that you are still standing when you once thought you wouldn't be. That alone is evidence. This moment can serve as a reminder and a source of encouragement for you. It is a reminder that what you did in silence was seen, and what was set in motion will not be undone. The Lord will fulfill His purpose for me. Your breakthrough is not something you are waiting for, it is something you have already stepped into. Even if it has not fully revealed itself, it has already begun to unfold. Do not allow what is visible to challenge what has already been declared. God is not a man that He should lie. What was spoken will be completed, so remain steady. Let your words carry life, not doubt. Protect your peace as if it matters, because it does. This moment matters. This shift is real. And I say it again, with certainty and joy, you did it. At last, you did it. Let that settle for a moment, not rushed, not overlooked, felt. The promise is already unfolding, even if it has not fully appeared yet. You surprised me. Yes, you. Pause and take that in. You surprised me. I have seen every season of your life, every weakness, every delay you questioned. I have watched your patterns, your struggles, the fears you carried in silence. I saw the moments you almost gave up. I saw how close you came to walking away. But this time, you chose differently. This time, you stood firm when doubt was loud. This time, you remained still when everything in you wanted to react. This time, you trusted without needing proof first. And in that moment, everything shifted. Just like Abraham, who believed before he saw, your faith created movement before evidence appeared. You thought no one noticed that quiet decision. You thought it was too small to matter. But I saw it clearly. I saw when you held back words that could have caused damage. I saw when you turned away from what once pulled you in. I saw when you said, Lord, I will trust you, even when everything around you looked uncertain. That was not small, that was the turning point. That was the moment everything began to change. You may have expected something loud, something obvious, but breakthrough rarely starts that way. It begins deep within, where alignment takes place. When your heart chose truth over emotion, when you believed beyond what you felt, something moved. Just as Joseph's journey shifted long before the palace, your shift began before the visible outcome. Chains began to loosen. Doors you have not yet seen started to open. Conversations began to turn in your favor, in places you have never stepped into. You surprised me not because you were incapable, but because you finally stepped into who you were becoming. Do not let what stands before your eyes cause you to question what was spoken. Hear this with clarity. What you see right now is not the full story. Tension may still be present. Delays may still linger. Resistance may still rise. But none of these define the outcome. They are only fragments, not the final frame. For we live by faith, not by sight. What is unseen is carrying more weight than what is visible. Do not allow pressure in the natural to erase progress in the unseen. Movement has already begun. What was set in motion did not stop. It continued beyond your awareness. Your breakthrough is not approaching, it is already unfolding. But this is the critical point, the place where many turn back. Fear grows louder here. Doubt feels convincing here. And many lose what was meant for them because they listen to the wrong voice. Remember Peter, he walked on water until he focused on the wind. The opposition you feel is not random. It is targeted. It recognizes that alignment has taken place, and because of that, it will try to intercept what is already yours. Confusion may rise. Doubt may be suggested. Small disruptions may appear, trying to convince you that nothing has changed. But do not be misled. These are distractions, not direction. Stand firm. Stay grounded. Do not step away now. This is the moment that matters most. This is not just another passing message. It may be reaching you at a meaningful time for a reason. Every thought that has been circling your mind, every quiet question you have not spoken aloud, it is known. And the question you keep returning to is, anything really shifting? Yes, something is happening. Even now, beneath what you can see, it is already in motion. And that is why you surprised me this time. You did not fall into the same pattern. The version of you from before would have reacted without thinking. You would have spoken from emotion and returned to what felt familiar, even if it was not right. But this time you paused. This time you chose stillness over reaction. This time you surrendered. And that changed everything, because surrender opens doors that effort alone never could. Strength can push, but surrender aligns. Finally, you released the need to control every outcome. Finally, you walked away from what was draining your spirit. Finally, you stopped pursuing what was never meant for you in the first place. Just as Abraham released Isaac, trusting beyond understanding, your surrender made room for something greater. That release was not loss, it was preparation. When you let go, space was created, and surrendered space often makes room for what is right, healthy, and lasting. What you released made room for what is coming, and what is coming carries more than what you left behind. Listen closely. Do not let what you see begin to rewrite what was already spoken. There are moments when pressure rises just before something breaks through. There are times when darkness appears heavier right before light emerges. This is not a change of direction. It is a reaction to your progress. The opposition cannot undo what has been set in motion, but it will try to pull your focus away from it. Remember this. Before David wore the crown, he faced the giant. You may hear subtle whispers telling you nothing has changed. Old fears may try to replay themselves. Even voices around you may attempt to weaken your confidence. Small frustrations may surface, testing whether you will remain steady or return to old patterns. But this is exactly why you must stay grounded now. Do not measure what is happening by how fast results appear. Measure it by who you are becoming. You are more composed. You think with clarity. You respond with intention. And that is the evidence. You are no longer reacting the same way, and that matters. You are not driven by desperation like before, and that matters. You are still standing after everything you have faced, and that matters. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. What you are experiencing is not a setback, it is a strengthening. And the pressure you feel is not there to break you, but to reveal that something greater is about to emerge. If you are hearing this now, understand it was not by chance. This moment was set to steady you before anything tried to shake you. It was placed here to strengthen you before doubt could find its voice, to remind you before discouragement could take root. I am never late. I move with precision, always on time. So do not rush past this. Do not treat this as ordinary. Let it sink deep within you. What you did was not small. Your obedience created movement. Your surrender opened what effort could not. Your trust shifted what seemed fixed. Even if challenges still surround you, they are not greater than what has already been spoken. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. What is eternal cannot be overturned by what is temporary. I do not speak without purpose. What I declare stands. So, protect your peace. Guard your words carefully. Do not speak failure over something that is still unfolding. Do not label it finished just because you cannot yet see the full result. A seed does not break through the ground overnight, yet life is already forming beneath it. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. You surprised me because you stayed when it was easier to leave. You held your ground when retreat felt safer. You did not return to what once had control over you. You remained. You trusted. You believed. And belief sets things in motion beyond what you can see. Like Daniel, who remained steadfast even when the outcome was uncertain, your faith has carried weight. And because of that, what you have been waiting for is being released. But do not loosen your focus now. This is not the moment to step back, this is the moment to stand even stronger. There may be one final test, one last attempt to make you question what you felt. But what you experienced was not imagination, it was alignment. Stay present, stay grounded. You are closer than you realize, closer than your fears will admit, closer than your doubts can measure. Something has already shifted, and it cannot be undone. So, remain steady, remain faithful. Do not let what is visible rewrite what was already spoken. Your breakthrough is here, and if you hold your ground now, nothing will take what has already begun. Let me bring you back to that moment you almost overlooked it. It felt ordinary, almost insignificant, like just another day passing by. But it was not ordinary. I saw it with absolute clarity. I saw the exact instant your heart made a different choice. When you held back words that could have caused harm. When you chose stillness instead of falling apart. When you forgave while the pain was still real. And in that moment, I said you surprised me. Not because you lacked potential, I placed strength within you from the beginning, but I also walked with you through your struggles. I saw how fear once took hold of you, how discouragement used to weigh you down, and when that same pressure returned, I watched closely. This time, something changed. I saw the conflict within your thoughts. I saw the pull toward old reactions. But instead of giving in, you paused. You took a breath. You turned your focus upward. And that pause shifted everything. Because you do not need a stage for obedience to matter. You do not need recognition for it to carry weight. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. The strongest obedience is often unseen. No applause, no audience, just a quiet decision that costs more than anyone realizes. That is where transformation begins. That is where alignment happens. Like Hannah, who poured out her heart in silence before her answer came, your unseen surrender carried power. When you chose stillness over complaint, something in the unseen responded. When you released control instead of forcing outcomes, movement began. When you forgave without hearing, "I'm sorry," something broke loose beyond your sight. You may not have noticed it in that moment, but it was real. It mattered, because your heart aligned, and alignment always triggers response. The eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong on behalf of those whose heart is loyal to him. You surprised me because you trusted without needing proof first. Before, you needed reassurance. Before, you waited for signs. But this time, you surrendered first. And surrender opened what effort never could. Understand this deeply. What you do in secret carries weight in ways you cannot measure. When you choose obedience in private, you invite movement in public. When you stand firm in hidden battles, you are being prepared for visible victory. Whoever is faithful in little is faithful also in much. You were closer than you realized to repeating old patterns. The chance to react in anger was there. The temptation to give up was real. The pull toward what was familiar but unhealthy was strong. Yet you resisted. Not perfectly, not easily, but you resisted. And that resistance created a shift, because it is not perfection that moves heaven, it is surrender. When you admitted you could not carry it alone, something changed. When you released control, something aligned. When you chose obedience, even without understanding, things began to rearrange beyond your sight. You surprised me because you matured. You did not let emotions lead. You did not let pride decide. You did not let fear take control. You let faith lead, and that single choice set everything in motion. Something began to realign around you the moment you changed within. What once felt stuck started to loosen. What seemed delayed quietly began to move forward. You thought everything would shift when circumstances changed, but the shift began when you did. The instant you forgave, something lifted off your spirit. The moment you stepped away from what drained you, space opened for something better. When you chose stillness over panic, peace entered. And that is not small, that is a turning point. Because obedience signals trust. And trust invites movement. I do not force my way, I respond to your yes. And when you say yes, even softly, even through tears, something begins. Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. You surprised me because you said yes when it would have been easier to refuse. You chose growth while comfort was calling you back. You chose discipline when excuses felt convincing. You chose faith when doubt tried to pull you away. And that yes carried further than you think. Like Ruth, who chose to step into the unknown with loyalty, your decision set a new direction in motion. I do not watch you with distance, I watch with purpose. I see when you overcome what once defeated you. I see when you step beyond limits you once accepted. That moment when you chose kindness instead of reacting harshly that mattered. That moment when you kept going instead of quitting that mattered. That moment when no one noticed your integrity but you still chose it that mattered. Because what is unseen is what shapes what is seen. If you only move when others are watching, growth stays shallow. But when you stay faithful in silence, your roots deepen, and deep roots cannot be shaken. They prepare you for what is ahead. The righteous shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. Its leaf also shall not wither. You are being prepared for more, but more requires stability, and stability is formed in hidden places. That is why that quiet moment carried so much weight. It proved readiness. Heaven responds to surrender, not noise. Movement begins when faith speaks louder than fear. When you released control instead of forcing outcomes, things began shifting behind the scenes. When you stopped holding on to what I was redirecting, a clearer path opened. When you forgave, weight was removed that would have slowed your next season. You surprised me because you did not return to what was familiar. Growth felt uncomfortable, but you stayed. You did not fall back into old habits. You did not return to old thinking. And understand this, what you do in unseen moments determines what you can sustain later. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Many ask for more, but few prepare for it. Many desire elevation, but few develop the strength to carry it. You did, not perfectly but faithfully. You chose trust while feeling fear. You chose obedience while feeling tired. You chose surrender while feeling overwhelmed. That is maturity. You are no longer reacting from old wounds. You are responding from growth, and growth creates movement. This is why what is happening is not random. It is connected to that decision you thought no one noticed. That quiet prayer. That silent forgiveness. It was seen. It mattered. And it was not wasted. Every hidden act of obedience builds unseen favor. Small choices carry large outcomes. The world looks for big moments, but I look for consistency. You remained faithful without applause. You stayed committed without reward. You obeyed even when it cost you something, and that cost created capacity. Now you are ready, not because you demanded it, but because you became it. Never forget, what is built in secret will always rise in the open. Before doors open outwardly, alignment must happen inwardly. Before elevation becomes visible, obedience must mature within. You chose differently. You responded differently. You trusted differently. And that is why I say it again, you surprised me. Not because I questioned your potential, but because you finally stepped into it. So keep moving in that direction. Keep choosing what is right, even when it feels unseen. Because what has been built in quiet will soon stand in the light. And nothing that comes against it can undo what has already been set in motion. The breakthrough has already arrived, but not in the way you expected. You were looking for something loud, something undeniable, something that everyone could see at once. But hear this clearly, real breakthrough does not always announce itself. Sometimes it comes quietly, like a shift in the atmosphere before a new season begins. He will not shout or cry out, or raise his voice in the streets. You may not hear anything dramatic. You may not see instant results, but something has already moved. The moment you chose obedience over reaction, surrender over control, trust over fear, that was the beginning. You thought breakthrough starts when the door swings open, but it actually begins the moment the lock turns silently, unnoticed, but irreversible. Look at yourself. Something is different. There is a calm rising within you that you cannot fully explain. You are not as overwhelmed as before. You are not as desperate. Situations that once would have shaken you no longer have the same power. That peace is not random. It is a sign. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Because when I begin to move, I strengthen you first. I establish you internally before I shift things externally. I give you stability before I give you expansion. If everything around you changed before you were ready within, it would overwhelm you instead of elevate you. You may also notice something else: clarity. Thoughts that once felt confusing are now becoming clearer. You are starting to recognize patterns. You are seeing what no longer belongs in your life. You are understanding your worth on a deeper level. That clarity is not coincidence, it is confirmation. For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Breakthrough is not just about doors opening, it is about vision becoming clear. And look closely, small doors are already beginning to shift. Conversations feel different. Opportunities are appearing in unexpected ways. Certain tensions are easing. These may seem small, but they matter. I move step by step. I prepare before I reveal. I do not swing doors wide open without first testing their alignment. I do not place you fully into something before preparing the path beneath your feet. And here is the deeper truth. You feel stronger. Not because everything has changed yet, but because you have changed. You are no longer reacting from panic. You are responding from growth. And that internal strength is proof that your foundation is being reinforced. What is being built now will not collapse later. And what is forming within you is preparing you to carry what is about to be placed before you. My child, there are moments when progress does not look like progress. In fact, it can look like the opposite. Right before something breaks through, pressure often intensifies. This is where faith is stretched. It may feel like nothing is changing, or even that things are getting harder. But that does not mean the promise has failed. It means you are closer than you think. Think of the darkest hour before sunrise. The sky grows heavier before the light appears. Yet that darkness is not a warning, it is a signal. Morning is near. In the same way, when something is about to shift, resistance rises. Not to stop you, but to distract you. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The real danger is not the resistance, it is where your focus goes. If you begin to fix your eyes on what is unfinished, you may miss what has already begun. Do not let temporary tension convince you that nothing is happening. Sometimes the first sign of breakthrough is exposure. Things that no longer belong begin to surface. Patterns feel uncomfortable. Relationships shift. Environments no longer fit. This is not loss, it is refinement. You cannot step into a new season while carrying what belongs to the old one. That is why things may feel shaken. But shaking is not destruction, it is preparation. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. What stays will be stronger. What leaves was never meant to carry you forward. You may look around and think, I do not see the result yet. But you do not need visible proof to know the process has begun. Seeds grow underground before they ever break the surface. Roots expand in silence before anything is seen. What was spoken over you is already active, not delayed, not paused, not waiting. Active. It is already active. The moment you surrendered, movement began. The moment you obeyed, alignment formed. The moment you trusted, favor was set in motion. There may be things unfolding right now that you cannot yet see clearly. Just because you cannot see them does not mean they are not real. I do not need noise to move powerfully. More often, I work within you before I work around you. I strengthen your character before I expand your influence. I stabilize your emotions before I increase your reach. I deepen your faith before I open greater doors. Look at yourself. You are not the same. You are calmer. You are more aware. You are no longer reacting the same way. That is not small, that is transformation. And that transformation is the beginning of breakthrough. Do not underestimate who you are becoming, because external blessings without internal readiness become burdens. But when you are prepared within, you can carry what is coming with strength. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. You may even feel it, a quiet expectation rising inside you, a sense that something good is ahead. That is not imagination, that is confirmation. Yet at the same time, distractions may appear. Small problems may seem bigger than they are. Old disappointments may try to replay in your mind. That is not coincidence, it is reaction. Because what you are stepping into has already been sensed, and opposition often appears where progress is happening. If nothing was changing, there would be no resistance. If no door was opening, there would be no attempt to discourage you. So, do not judge this moment by what it looks like. A seed does not look impressive, but it carries a forest within it. You may feel like nothing is visible yet, like the ground has not changed. But beneath the surface, roots are spreading, strength is forming, structure is building. What was spoken over you is not fragile, it is unfolding. Even when it looks messy, even when it feels uncertain, even when resistance appears, this is not reversal, it is transition. And transition is rarely comfortable before it becomes clear. But understand this with certainty: I am not uncertain about your future. I am not reconsidering what was spoken. I am not confused about where you are going. What has been set in motion is still moving. Your obedience unlocked it, your surrender sustained it, and your faith will carry it all the way through. Now is the moment to stay grounded. Notice the peace growing inside you. Pay attention to the clarity forming in your thoughts. Do not overlook the small openings, the quiet strength rising within. These are not random, they are signs, evidence that something has already begun. Your breakthrough is not distant, it is already in motion. Even if it is not fully visible yet, it has been fully set in place. Do not require noise to believe what is already real. Silent movement is still movement. Stay alert, stay thankful, stay steady, because what has begun can continue to unfold in a meaningful way, and what has been activated will unfold exactly as it should. You are not standing still, waiting for change. You are already walking through it. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. But understand what comes next. Breakthrough is never without opposition. When something new is forming, when doors begin to open, resistance will try to appear. Not because it has power to stop it, but because it seeks to disrupt it early. That is its pattern. It targets what is new, because what is new carries purpose. Just as Herod sought the child at the beginning, the attack often comes at the birth of something significant. So, stand firm. Let your faith be stronger than what you see. Do not allow temporary resistance to shake what has already been established. Hold on to faith and do not let resistance define the outcome. Hold your ground, because what is unfolding now is not fragile. It is destined to continue.